Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel where I make videos about self-development and personal finance. So when it comes to personal finance, it is almost impossible to leave out the topic of your income, which for a lot of us comes from our full-time salary. And we can be talking about both full-time annual salary as well as hourly rate if you are more of a contractor or a freelancer. And as a recruiter and a career coach, I noticed that one of the things that my clients tend to struggle with the most is negotiating your salary. And that's totally understandable because I know that that topic can be pretty uncomfortable, especially when you're not sure if it's going to affect your candidacy for the role. And in general, not everybody likes to talk about money. And if you want to see more of the similar videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and definitely hit that like button because it really supports small YouTubers like myself. So the very first thing that you want to do is research. The main thing that you want to know is what is a competitive salary in your field and especially in your location. There are a few resources that I would really recommend when it comes to salary research, and it's not Google. In fact, I actually don't recommend you Googling competitive salary in your field just because Google tends to pull information from a lot of different locations and kind of give you an average salary. So a good resource that you want to go to would actually be Glassdoor. The thing I like about Glassdoor is that you can narrow things down by your specific location and also by your tenure. Because obviously if you are an entry-level candidate working in the states like Georgia or Florida, you're not going to be making the same as people with 5+ years experience living in the Silicon Valley. So having those filters will help you to get a more accurate number. The next place you can go to is LinkedIn. Sometimes job postings will show you a typical salary range for a specific position, which will help you to get a better idea of what you can expect. And while Glassdoor and LinkedIn are great sources, they're not always the greatest just because they don't always fully explain the expected compensation. For example, depending on the company that you join, your compensation can consist of multiple things. It can consist of obviously just your salary, just the cash portion of it, but can also include things like stock, bonuses, all of those things that do add to your overall annual compensation. So a great website that you can check out to see that exact breakdown is actually Levels FYI. I will include the link down below. The only downside of Levels FYI, I would say, is unlike Glassdoor and LinkedIn, they don't have as large of a user base, meaning they don't have as much data. So they're a great resource if you are interviewing at one of the very large Fortune 500 companies. But if you are interviewing for a smaller startup or a mid-sized company, you may not be able to find the numbers that you need. All right, now that you've done research and you have an idea what is the competitive salary in your field, let's do this quick exercise. Take a piece of paper and write down 2 numbers. The first number is going to be your ideal salary. So that would be the salary that would make you feel like, yes, this is a great offer, this is a great move, this is going to help me hit my financial goals. So now that you have that ideal number in your head, let's think of the second number. And that would be the salary that would be the bare minimum for you to even consider. So as much as we all want to aim for that ideal number, in reality, there are a lot of other things that go into a position other than just the salary. So you definitely don't want that number to be less than what you are currently making or, way below what you think you are worth. But that would be the number that, will help you to maintain your current lifestyle, or the number that would still justify you accepting that position. Everybody has their own standards. But the point is that you do want to have 2 numbers written down, and I will explain to you why later in this video. All right, you have your research and you have your numbers figured out. Now, let's talk about how to actually have this conversation with a recruiter or whoever you are discussing your salary with. So again, everyone's situation might be a little bit different, but from my experience, there are usually two parts of your interview process where the salary conversation tends to come up. So the first time when this can come up is usually your initial conversation with the company. That can be with the recruiter or the hiring manager. They usually spend some time getting to know you, understanding your background, and usually towards the end, they ask you that question. What are your salary expectations, or what are you looking for in your next role in terms of compensation? Whichever way they phrase it, they want to have an answer from you. A lot of people want to hear what the company has to offer first or want to leave it towards the end, which, is totally fine. However, I do encourage you to just have that conversation right away. And the reason why is because you don't want to waste your time. When companies ask that question, they're not trying to trick you or lowball you. Most of the time, they just want to make sure that your salary expectations align with their budget. And if, let's say, you want $100,000, but the job can only pay $60,000, then there's really no point for either you or the company to continue that conversation. Everyone's time is valuable. My rule of thumb when you're giving somebody a number, you always want to back it up with something. So based on my research and my understanding of the competitive salary range, I would be looking for and give them the number. You also want to let them know that you are flexible depending on the opportunity, especially if you are nervous about outpricing yourself. Or another great answer would be, based on my conversation with other companies or other interviews that I have, I would be looking for and give them the number. So I know you probably noticed that I said other companies, and you're probably wondering, what if I'm not interviewing for any other company and I don't have any other offers on the table? But guess what? They don't know that. But by saying that, you might make yourself look more valuable. And I wouldn't even consider that lying, because if you are a great candidate, then sooner or later you are going to be having other interviews and you are going to be having other offers on the table. So there's really nothing wrong with saying that. All right, so you give them the answer and you let them know that you are flexible. If your number is completely outside of the price range, most of the companies are probably going to let you know that, because again, they value their time. But if your number is somewhere within the range that they are able to afford, they will generally continue the conversation. Obviously, if the rest of the interview goes well. If you are very curious about what the company has to offer and they're not telling you right away, you can always give them the number and immediately ask, does that fall within your range? And they would usually either tell you yes or no, or give you somewhat of a vague answer. All right, so we've covered the part where salary tends to come up for the first time. Now let's move on to the next part. And from my experience, the next time you talk about salary is usually closer to the end of the interview process. That's when you're about to get an offer or you have already gotten an offer. So a few things can happen at this point. So let's just say they gave you an offer and it is the number that you are happy with. It is either within the range of your ideal salary or even more. You're happy, they're happy, everyone is happy. That's awesome. However, let's say they gave you the number that is not exactly where you want it to be. At that point, it's going to be up to you whether you want to negotiate it, but if you do decide to negotiate it, here are some of the tips that I have for you. Like I mentioned at the beginning, every time you're making a statement, especially regarding the salary, you always want to back it up with something. And at that point, there are a couple of things that you can do. Let's say you do have other interviews or other offers on the table that you know are going to be paying a little bit more. You can very much so use that to negotiate your salary. The rule of thumb is whenever you're talking about something as sensitive as your salary, you want to be very nice about it and show them that you're coming from a good place. So don't go and tell them, well, other companies are offering me more money, so I want you to give me more money. Don't say that. Nobody likes that. What you want to say is, I really appreciate your offer and I'm super excited about this opportunity. This is by far my top choice. However, I do want to let you know that I do have other offers on the table or potential offers on the table that are going to be compensating me a little bit higher. And as much as I don't want money to matter in this process, unfortunately it does, because we're all adults and we have financial obligations. And as much as I want to accept this offer, I do want to make the decision that makes the most sense for me and my family. See how different that sounds? When you say it like that, you are coming from a very human and very personal side of things. And odds are whoever you are speaking to probably also has a family and also has their own obligations, and they will be a lot more empathetic if they hear you saying that. They will probably end up asking you what is the number that would make sense for you, give them that number and see what they say. A lot of companies, if they really want you, they will find a way to at least meet you in the middle. And again, if you don't feel comfortable bringing up other companies and if you don't actually have those offers, what you can say is pretty much the exact same thing, but without mentioning other offers. Just let them know that you do have some financial goals and it would mean a lot to you if they could get closer to the number that you mentioned at the beginning or at least meet you in the middle. So hopefully after having that conversation, the company will get back to you and hopefully give you the offer that you're going to be happy with. However, if it doesn't happen, just remember that there are a lot of other things that you can negotiate that are not directly your salary. Some companies have a strict cap on their full-time salary, but they might be a little bit more flexible with things like annual bonuses, sign-on bonuses, stock options, different perks, as well as some non-monetary things such as flexible work time, more paid time off, ability to work remotely, and a lot of other things that will make your job more enjoyable even if you're not making exactly as much as you want to be making. And let's just say you tried all of those things but still nothing worked. That's when you want to refer back to the two numbers that you wrote down at the beginning and see where that offer falls within the range that you set up for yourself at the beginning. Let's say it's less than your ideal salary, but if it's still above the minimum salary that you set for yourself, I do think it makes sense for you to consider it or give it a shot. But if it is below your minimum number, that's when you really need to think whether it makes sense for you or not. Either way, I hope you guys found this video helpful. I know salary can be a pretty difficult topic, but if you do ever need more one-on-one coaching on how to approach that conversation, and if you have a specific situation that you need help with, feel free to check out my website where I do offer one-on-one coaching sessions. But other than that, best of luck with everything, and I hope you get that dream salary. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!